word, but in maybe their welfare and the things that actually affect them and their children, they might, we don't know what would happen, but organically they might shift to side with us. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say. Thank you guys and good night. I need to sleep.
Um, I don't know if there's somebody else who was speaking. If I can speak. All right. I want to talk about the protests. I've been attending the protests, and even the one which had goons. I actually talked to the goons. I have a 360. I did a 2 hour video with them, and some of the guys are making it into a film. And I lost a phone, and my companion also lost a phone in the protests, but it didn't deter me. I still did protests right here in Karen where I am, and was able to facilitate a lot of people to attend the protests. Uh, 18th and then specifically 25th. Obviously, there was a lot of disorganization after 25th, and especially with the military coming in, and with the police being brutal, the goons as well. But at the same time, we kept soldiering, and even recently, when there was nobody on the streets, I was still out, and I did a march with my flag and also my placard. And I got to talk to the cops. When I was alone, I usually go to protests in a suit because I'm a lawyer. And obviously, we want to represent our professions. We want to have the diversity out there so that everybody knows that this is not just about me and you, it's about all of us, because we live in a bureaucratic society. So, as a lawyer, for example, if I have a case and I'm fighting for you whose land has been stolen from, and I have a court order, and I go to the cops, and the land that we want to reclaim is has been grabbed by somebody like Ruto, for example, because Ruto has had issues with land grabbing with Mutesha in the past. I'll just use that example. And if I take that court order, and Ruto decides to give orders to that OCS or the police in that space that don't do this, they won't do it, because that's what is happening. And that's why for me I started going out into the streets, and I keep going out into the streets, and I keep asking us to go back to the streets. I also was planning to go back at my home, and organize protests, and I did in kind and not physically, in as much as I was eager to go, because it's important as well that we make this a grassroots thing. But the unfortunate thing that happened when we went to the protests, the folks who organized the protest back home, their shop was vandalized, and obviously it was an investment. But at the same time, I keep talking to them, and they keep telling me that we are still in this. For them, they have lost something, but they're still in this, and they want as much opportunity to get involved and to see us win. Particularly for me, I'm not interested in political office. I think I'd rather have a good political climate. I'd rather have the majority of us who have grand ideas in all these spaces. And I've been for me, I'm a strategist, so I like strategizing and actualizing things. Every time I come to a space, I usually ask myself, like, am I going to live with some people so that we can do something on the ground, not just talk and finish? Today we were talking about dialogue, and I called a friend of mine who vied for MCA position in Lo Nyanza, and we were talking about this, and he was talking about that the people there are going to stick with Ruto, with Raila, at least the majority of them. They're going to be angry, but if he goes there and he talks to them, they're going to stick with him. And that's something that we need to be able to counter. As I've been on social media, I've been talking to some of the guys, for example, Kimuzi, who were in high school together, just telling him, like, let's move away from small politics. We are statesmen now. We're no longer talking about our small beefs. If somebody comes to my chat box or my thread and gives me an insult, don't amplify the insult. Move past it, and just talk about statesmanly stuff. Don't talk about a tribe, because I've been seeing some people talk about, like the people who are defending this person are from this tribe and stuff. We need to move past that. Nobody knows my tribe. People usually guess which tribe I am. And I try to keep it as much as possible. We talk on states state issues. If we have a good state, we have a good life. If we can go out there and give hope, because now hope is being lost. Actually, I think that's something I will want us to resuscitate. I think when these guys are coming together today, what we should be pushing and what I am pushing consciously with my small following on X, because I'm not a big influencer. I think X requires a bit of investment for somebody to grow, but for those who have grown, I would like to see like a more engagement which is deliberate, to ensure that when we are moving forward, uh, we are educated first and foremost. We know that this is something we can do. Like, for example, for me, I have strategies. I make strategies. Even for protests, there is usually strategies. You have to have a message. When we went, we were two buses from where I was coming from. We had a strategy. We had, trying to amplify the message, trying to film ourselves and post on social media. Some of us who are popular posting and amplifying that, and that made the protests, the Occupy Parliament protests, successful. But coming into the next protest, a lot of people withdrew because they were afraid. Some of them talked to their relatives, their parents. Some of them talked to maybe cops, and they were told that this is going to be dangerous, and they withdrew. And I understood. And even going forward, when I lost my phone, and I was also harassed by cops. Apparently, I actually even met some of the cops on Sunday, and we had a chat, at Uhuru Park. They were just out there in their vehicle, and I was like, I remember you guy. And like, even that reaching out to the cops, it's something that we can do deliberately. We can have a targeted message. I know, I was talking, and I think I also talked to, I don't know his actual name, which I wish I knew, but Keoti Sonko. I just talked to him, and there's a need for us to move towards civic education. And sometimes when people talk about civic education, we think about it as a grand idea. But civic education is what we did during the finance bill. It is what we can do even now. When you talk about, say, Raila has been in government and has done handshake, and the handshakes has not resulted. That is civic education, really. And if we can inform the public, if we can structure ourselves and talk in our, if I can talk, for example, for me, I can talk in my vernacular language and speak to the folk there, and we can have many of us amplifying this and down the road. And I think this is something controversial, but for me, I have in my strategies, which I continually share with some of the guys, and even some of the prominent people in the movement, trying to strategize. Even when we're talking about an outlying person, Okia Omtata, we want to see ourselves in a position where we are making allies for ourselves. We were talking about, earlier today we were talking about, there are people in the political space at the moment who are supporting us, and they're coming to the spaces, and we can analyze who is an ally. And if you have somebody you feel is an ally, people can bring them on board. Some of them are dangerous, and that's why we have to keep them away as much as possible. But if we can make sure that, in my home village, for example, in let me just use my home village in Kisii, which is uh, Onyansiaga, which is in Bobasi. If I can go there, and it's something which I intend to do this August, if I can go there and have take up a tent and a field, and have a bunch of lawyers and a bunch of doctors come and do an education on what it means for the healthcare to thrive. As a lawyer, to talk about what laws, to give out some handouts, and to do that from my dime, and to have other people joining in and pulling together. Wouldn't that be amazing? So that this movement, this just Gen Z movement, goes to my grandparent, one of my, some of my grandparents are alive. My grandparent knows that this is what we are doing. And so if somebody asks me what is the end goal, it is good governance. And what is the plan? We can be able to say that this is the plan. We want to inform as many people, and then we can choose people who can help us. And if we can, yeah, they told us what is wrong with the guys we have right now. I think we should be able to say, if somebody asks me what is wrong with Raila right now, I can give that explanation. It's because he's siding with the killers, the people who are killing us. The gentleman who gave a name, Joshua Kayo, we had supper not long ago, and then a few weeks back, and he was kidnapped. I think some of you have seen the video, and he was found in Muranga, near a river. And I remember that time there was nobody who was willing to look out for him. And what I did is I took the initiative and called the press, the press to come in, and other people joined in. I was receiving money so that we can be able to look for him. There were contributions coming in right straight to my number. When everybody refused, I don't want to be associated with this. And you see, now we get this movement is going. I think we have to have that proactiveness. I am in the streets. I'm not just sitting at my place here in Karen and just saying, okay, this is something which is happening, I'm going to sit back. I'm in the grounds. When somebody is arrested, I am there. I'm uh, pushing for us to make those steps. And it is important that everybody who is listening on here, that you make that conscious effort, that it is not just going to be sitting back, because we will not win against Raila and Ruto and all this political elite if they band together and we are sitting back, because then other people will be standing, other people, and this is something else also I'll just comment. For example, if we go to have civic education as Gen Zs, millennials, to the slums, for example, and we talk about what we are bringing and we identify with them, it's easier for us to win them and to be able to like consolidate. Like if you're going to the protest, it's not just going to be people sorry, I'm done. It's not just people in X who are going to be participating. We want to have our parents, we want to have middle class, lower class, and everybody involved. Thank you for the time. And I hope that tomorrow we're going to have a conversation on civic education. Okay, God bless you. I think we can have somebody else speaking, because I am done speaking.
Yeah. I think Mariam was before Yvonne, but please go ahead, Yvonne.
Thanks, Kenyan lady. So the main thing I wanted to say today, and the point I wanted to drive through, is that this is a national problem that transcends Gen Z. It is cross-generational, and if we can all understand that, then we'll be on the right track. Because I've heard in this forum people say, Gen Z, if you fail, you have failed us, or if you fail, this country has failed. We need to personalize this fight. That is the very first thing. Everyone is filled with frustration and disgust at the level of wastage, at the level of incompetence that is synonymous with this government. So if we all just shift our mindset to the fact that this is a personal fight, then we'll be one step forward towards winning this. We are all fighting for our very lives. We are fighting for our future. We are fighting for the future of the generations to come. And today's topic initially was what dialogue. And I certainly agree, like what further dialogue is needed? What else is there to talk about? For the president to uphold the constitution, what do we need to tell him? For him to fire those non-performing cabinet secretaries, for him to adopt a system of meritocracy rather than awarding loyalists who have questionable backgrounds. Does he really need to be told that? And if you realize no one has even asked for a space on the table, what we want is a Kenya that works, and a Kenya that works for all of us, not just for the select few. So when the protests were starting, within a week, like Kenyans of goodwill had come together and self-organized to make sure that, for example, there was a USSD that works, that posts information on like where the police are, where you can contribute, where you can get medical help. Medical teams had all come together